everyone. Today we're here with Greg Donofrio, a good friend of Culture Estate. I want to introduce you guys to Greg because he has a very inspirational story behind him, and I've heard nothing but great things about Greg before we ever even crossed paths, and he has not disappointed us one bit. Greg is here with us today. He's going to share some of his personal ups and downs, and hopefully we all take something away. So Greg, let's start with a little bit about your background. Can you tell me about your upbringing?
Sure. I was pretty much born and raised in Cranford, New Jersey. Had a normal childhood. Was a big competitor with all types of sports, especially like judo and wrestling. I started both of them when I was about 4 years old. I competed all the time till I was about 16 years old. At 16 years old, my mother got really sick. It was just a basic cold that came out of nowhere. Never had any medical issues, and 4 days later, she passed away. After that, I pretty much lost my mind. I lost my way. I lost my character. I lost my fire to even compete anymore. So pretty much all my dreams about competing on an Olympic level just went down the drain. I got in some trouble. It's pretty much doing things I shouldn't have been doing. I was hurting people I shouldn't have been hurting, and I just wasn't the person that God intended me to be. So pretty much for those about 16 to about 20, 21, I was acting out. I felt like I was headed down a really dark path. I prayed to God all the time to get me out of it. So I started applying for police positions. I needed to get my head back on. I needed to be the person I was supposed to be. So I winded up getting hired in the Albuquerque Police Department. So pretty much that was like the second chance for me to get out of New Jersey, get my head on together, and just be the person I was supposed to be. So I stayed out in Albuquerque for about 7 years. My last year that I was on the police department, I had an older brother who got hurt in a motorcycle accident. Cops came to my house, pretty much told me to pack for my brother's funeral because he was gonna die. At that time, I flew home immediately. I really didn't realize the extent of how serious his injuries were until I was there, until I actually saw it myself. Sometimes things can get over-exaggerated a little bit, so I thought it was important for me to not really react until I came home and even speaking with the doctors. So I flew home as much as I could. I finally ran out of sick and any type of vacation time. I was actually flying home, not even getting paid anymore, so I knew I had to make a decision whether I wanted to stay where I was at or come home to nothing.
Yeah.
So
for family.
For family, exactly. That's what I tried to explain to my father on one of my first visits, that moving home was pretty much a priority to me.
Yeah.
His understanding, he just couldn't grasp that type of thinking. I had a secure career, a house, family, and to move home to nothing, it was almost kind of taking 10 steps backwards in life.
Yeah, of course.
But for me, it didn't matter. Being a police officer was just a job. It wasn't who I was, you know?
It didn't define you?
Not at all. It did not define me at all. I needed to be there at that time, but I also felt like it was time for me to go. My brother, my family is way more important than any type of career I've ever have or will have. So for me, it was an easy decision. But pretty much, so I moved home. I kind of felt I moved kind of 10 steps backwards because I went from being a police officer to working construction, being a waiter, and working at night at the clubs. So working 6 days a week, and I just didn't know what path I wanted to take.
Okay.
I would pray to God all the time, you know, just to kind of lead the way. I saw the light in construction. I was working for a guy. Everything he was doing, I knew I could do, you know. So finally, I just took a leap of faith and decided to open up a construction business with a partner. That only lasted 6 months. We just worked differently, so. But all of a sudden, my first year, I pretty much would work almost for free. It was so important for me to build a reputation, just to let people know who I was, what type of work I would do, just to let people see my character. So for that first year, I pretty much worked for nothing.
For an education.
Exactly. I was learning. I was trying to just show people that I would do anything for them. That's the type of company I'm going to run. Those are the type of people I'm going to hire. And so far, it's been a blessing, man. I can't even tell you how blessed I am. I thank God every day for everything I've been through. But yeah, that's pretty much a little bit about my story.
Well, I'm sure that this successful construction company that you're running now is probably not your end goal or end game in your life. It's just the current chapter that you're on. Where do you foresee yourself going with this construction background that you have now?
I think I just want to do. I think I just want to do my own investment properties, just flipping houses, and that's where I see myself. I even thought about real estate too. Yeah. I never settle. You know, that's one thing about me. I'll never settle. I know I can do the work. I can do anything. Yeah. I have the mindset where I can do anything.
Absolutely.
So I don't know. I kind of take it day by day. I think it's important sometimes if we plan our lives. We're not the ones who are in control.
Absolutely.
So I think it's important just to sometimes take things day by day, be thankful for the gifts you're given that day, and just kind of let God lead the way. Correct. You know, so as much as I want to plan my life in the future, I don't have any control over it. As much as I thought I used to, you know?
Absolutely. Now, touching on that, do you think that your brother's accident was truly something that was fate, and it was part of his journey and your journey? And it brought you back to where you needed to be?
I do.
You do? You believe
as messed up as it sounds, there are times when I was out in Albuquerque where, for instance, my son's birthday, it was his second or third birthday. I remember just kind of keeping quiet, but I remember looking around and thinking to myself, I want to go back home.
Yeah.
My family's not here. This is great. I have a great career. I love being a police officer. I love helping people, but I want to go back home. I just didn't know how to get back home. It just didn't make sense for me to quit a career and move back home. Okay. When my older brother got hurt, it was an easy decision. I was waiting for, and it sounds messed up to say, but I was waiting for something or for some type of reason for me to justify me quitting a career and leaving. And once my brother was hurt, it was an easy decision. So I really feel like God knew I wanted to be home, and
this is where you needed to be.
Exactly.
Exactly. Now, how's your brother today? Is he hopefully doing well?
He is. He's a lot better than what the doctors told us. They told us he could be a vegetable for the rest of his life. They even told us to take him off of life support several times in the hospital. One of the things I'll never forget is one of the times I flew back home. My wife, she asked me, she said, "How are you so calm? Like through all this that's going on with your brother, he had staph infection in his blood. Everything that could have gone wrong was going wrong." Doctors told us several different things, and one of the things they told us was to take him off of life support, that he could be a vegetable for the rest of his life. And at that point, my father was considering it, and I remember I brought my father to the chapel in the hospital, and I just gave him this speech. I felt like I wasn't even talking. I felt like something or someone was talking through me, and we obviously decided not to take him off of life support, and today he's able to walk, he's able to communicate. He won't be able to work or drive, I don't think, but I think a lot that really depends on him. At this point, I feel like he's got to do the work on his end. Yeah. And he fights depression, so he's been through a long battle, but the only thing we can do for him is just be there for him.
Absolutely.
So, but he's doing good. He's definitely, he's a blessing for me. You know, I'll take him as is. You know, it could be way worse. When people come up to me and apologize, "I'm sorry to hear about your brother," I'm like, I'm thankful for it. Yeah. I'm thankful he was alive. He could have been dead, and you know, things could have been a lot differently. So I kind of look at it more of a positive than a negative. Absolutely. Right? Yeah.
So you mentioned your children briefly. Can you tell us about your family?
Yeah, my son is 8 and my daughter is 5. I love my kids to death. I swear I'm on the earth to be a father. Yeah. I never thought I could love again. After my mom died, I was very closed off. And my kids brought out such a different love. It's just such a blessing. Yeah. They have a great mother. We've been together since I was 18 years old. Wow. Actually went to her senior prom together. So we've been together. She's unbelievable. I couldn't ask for more. My kids are so lucky to have such a loving mother as well, you know. So, but no, my kids are my world.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's awesome. Yep. Were they with you throughout this whole journey to Albuquerque and back?
So no, they weren't. When I moved out there, I was only 21 years old. We winded up, I've had my son at 25. Okay. So they both were born in Albuquerque, but they were, you know, with me. Yeah, they were little. Even when I moved home, they still were little. So I don't think they realized the extent of what was going on, especially when I moved back home. Now they do. I explain things here and there, and you know, they see my brother a lot. So, but yeah, they're such blessings in my life. I thank God every day for them.
I remember you telling me a story about Albuquerque once, about a lady. I think it was you got a call for a lady who was at a Walmart or something, and while you were a police officer, you saw that she was like a single mother who couldn't really afford to pay for her stuff, so she was, I think, shoplifting.
Right. It was actually around Christmas time.
Okay.
So what she was doing was she was stealing gifts to give to her kids. It was Christmas Eve, actually. So I used to work the night shift, and Walmart was, I hate to bash Walmart, I love the store, but they were the type of company that wanted you to arrest or either give them misdemeanor citations, which is in lieu of a arrest. I just did not have the heart to do that. Once she told me that she was stealing gifts to give to her kids, I pretty much solved the problem by taking out my credit card, paying for whatever she was stealing, and I just told her Merry Christmas. I felt like that was a better way to kind of handle that situation than give a single mother, arrest her, or even give her a misdemeanor citation. Sometimes doing things differently, you can show also like a different side to law enforcement, or even a different side to humanity, you know? So I thought, I've been in a lot of situations like that where I always did things differently. You know, I thought it was important to let people see the light in you, you know, like you don't have to, not everyone's bad, you know, so I always had that mindset, just to kind of treat people, you know, the way you'd want to be treated in a situation like that. We all have hard times, but we all should be sticking together in the end.
Yeah, well, most people have a preconception about law enforcement, police officers, but I guarantee you that lady will never forget Greg Donofrio, and she'll never think about police officers the same way.
I agree, and I get the chills even when you say that. There's many situations where I know that I left an impact on certain people's lives forever. I showed them a different side to me, and I showed them a different side to law enforcement, and that was the whole point of that. You know, it wasn't an act. I didn't even tell anyone about it at the time. I didn't tell my superiors. I didn't want recognition. I did it because it was the right thing to do, and I felt it in my heart. I've also dealt with bad people where I probably wouldn't do that.
Of course.
You know, but I just like talking to people. I can kind of get a sense of their character, and I always, you know, I always, at the end of the day, I always wanted to help someone. Awesome. You know.
Yeah, well, I see that you didn't do that act of kindness to feed your ego. You did it because it was the right thing to do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And my ego's gone.
Yeah.
I might have had an ego when I was a kid, but there's no ego with me at all. You know?
That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to ask you, Greg, if you're, let's say hypothetically, your kids are your age and you're not around for one reason or another, is there any advice that you would give your children, or anyone out there for that matter, in a life lesson, or maybe something to take away that'll make them, you know, a successful individual, not only financially, but spiritually, mentally, physically? Like, is there any parting words that you'd want to leave on behalf of yourself?
I think I would tell my kids to always respect their mother, follow your dreams. It's important to, I've been told a lot of times in life that I can't do things. You can't do this, you can't do that. You know what? I didn't believe anyone. I did what I wanted. I did what I felt was right. So that's where it kind of comes into following your dreams, because if you want to do something, you'll do it no matter what. And I lost that mindset for a little bit. Like I said, during that like 16 to kind of 20, I didn't have a mindset. My mindset was reckless. But at this point, I got back on track, and I feel really good. So I would tell my kids just to, I don't know, to love people. Love people and do what you want in life. Don't let anyone tell you can't do anything.
And it won't come easy though, right?
It does not come easy. I mean, look at my situation. I felt like I went 10 steps backwards to move 20 steps forward, if that makes sense. You know, when I was working back at a waiter in my hometown, I can't tell you how embarrassing it was to see people I knew. And I know they were looking at me as if I kind of went backwards in life. But I didn't let it get to me. You know, I kind of kept focused, and I didn't care what they thought. I knew the long-term journey was going to be a lot better than me being in that restaurant at that time.
There's a famous song by Frank Sinatra, "That's Life," where he talks about he's you know, up sometimes in his life, and then he's down. You just can't predict it, and that's the way life is. But life is like a game of chess, and you just have to know that not every move is going to be, you know, at that moment, you know, a beneficial move that you might foresee, but in the long run, it's critical for the right strategy.
It was important I went through that.
Absolutely.
And I wouldn't have changed it at all.
I think so. Well, thank you so much, Greg, for your time, and I think the audience today is going to be very content, very happy with your words. I'm sure your family and your kids will definitely appreciate this, looking back many years from now with this great advice that you're giving them.
No, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for
having me. Awesome, brother. Anytime. Thank you.